Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumors that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Ali AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Hello, nice to see everyone. I'm Yasmin. I was a bit nervous this morning, so I didn't eat breakfast, and now I'm really worried that the microphone is going to pick up how much my stomach's rumbling, so please ignore if that does happen. So I'm head of PPC at Impression. We're a digital agency that's based out of Nottingham, London and Manchester. I'm not going to speak specifically about PPC today, but I'm going to speak more about people, and specifically young people. And the reason that I think that this is really important is because we are entering a new age. And what I mean by a new age is that there is a growing portion of the market that is young people who have never lived in an era where they've not had access to the internet. They are the first generation of their kind, the first digital generation, always had technology at their fingertips. Gen Z currently make up 15% of the UK population as well. And when we think about, these people that have never grown up without the internet, that number is only going to grow over the coming years. So it's important that we're beginning to understand how we speak to those people. I put this last stat on here because it absolutely blew my mind. This is from Statista. 25% of under sevens, they say own a smartphone. I'm not quite sure that own is the right word. It might be have regular access to, but that is absolutely insane. And I think that's a good way of contextualizing the new age that we're going to enter, where people are growing up around this sort of technology. So it means that the way that we need to market to young consumers is going to have to change. So there's probably a few things that you've heard about Gen Z. I'd actually maybe like to pause just for a second and survey the crowd so I can understand a little bit about the demographic that we've got in the room. If you would class yourself as being Gen Z, could you put your hand up, please? Okay, I'd say probably like 20% of people. Okay, next, could you put your hand up if you feel like in the context of 2024, you know what brat means? More people, okay. Would anyone class themselves or consider themselves to have had a brat summer? I didn't think anyone would admit to that, to be fair. We're at a conference, guys. And again, in the context of 2024, anyone understand why we might be using the words mindful or demure more than we have done previously? Okay, that's interesting because one of these is specifically like a TikTok phenomenon, and one of them is a wider cultural phenomenon. So it's good to understand that actually TikTok is resonating a bit more widely. But in terms of myths that you might have heard about Gen Z, there are things that I think as advertisers we can fall into a bit of a pitfall of making assumptions about people based on things that we've heard and then devising marketing strategies around that. So things like, TikTok short form, so they have a shorter attention span. People aren't using Google anymore, they're using TikTok, Instagram to research. Being socially conscious is the most important thing to the younger generation. There's some sort of evidence behind some of those things, but I'm here to sort of debunk some of those myths that's not what you should be focusing on. Actually, I think there are 3 priorities that you actually ought to remember, and those are being digital first, focusing on authenticity, and also the balance between sustainability and price. So we're going to talk about being digital first. So what does it mean to be digital first? This essentially means that all action now is taking place online. When you think about traditional media formats, so television and radio, this isn't to say that young people aren't consuming this content. It's that they're consuming it online now. So you think about if you're watching something that's on ITV, often this will be streamed on ITV Player. Same with whatever Channel 4 call theirs now. I feel like it changes constantly. And iPlayer as well. People are listening to radio online through online streaming, as opposed to traditionally turning on a radio too. And also action is taking place online. Gen Z are much more likely to convert online rather than going into store to purchase. I also, this is just for my own benefit as well, would like to ask another question. If you were booking a flight, say, and it was a long haul flight and you were going to have to drop a couple of £100 on it, can you put your hand up if you'd be comfortable making that purchase on your phone? Okay, and could you put your hand up if you feel like you should switch to a laptop to do it on a big screen? I'm a big screen person as well. It's a big purchase, you do it on a big screen, but apparently that's a change in demographic too. No evidence there, that's just me. So actually, what does this mean for advertisers? This won't be new to anyone, but the way that we're moving is ensuring that we have a holistic, multi-touch approach to our marketing. What I think is going to be different, I would assume that we're all aware that we shouldn't be focusing on single channels anymore and that we have to have this holistic marketing strategy. I think that over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see less of this sort of graphic where it's a linear journey to conversion or potentially a funnel, if you prefer to view it that way. I think the way that we're going to be moving to is looking at marketing as more of an ecosystem. If you look at behaviours of young consumers at the moment, there's a lot more jumping around different formats and actually using channels that we don't believe are necessarily conversion-based channels to convert and vice versa. What I think this means for us as advertisers is that there needs to be like a very big focus on measurement over the course of the coming years. The ideal would be that over the course of the next 3 years, everyone's investing heavily into media mix modelling, into econometrics and actually understanding rather than the attribution of every single channel, what the contribution of each channel is. That is big picture, and I would really, really recommend everyone take that away. And if you're not having conversations about that at the moment, start to. There are, though, things that you can be doing now that are much more simplified ways of understanding the impact of one channel on another. This is a test that we ran last year for a luxury beauty advertiser where we ran some TikTok awareness activity from August to November in the build-up to Black Friday. Whilst we measured the awareness metrics in TikTok, actually the other thing that we looked at was impact on search metrics as well. So we looked at brand search volume, which increased massively amongst the younger age group over the course of these months. So the brown line is year on year versus grey versus the year before is black. So it's a massive increase during that period. We also saw that during that period, share of brand search increased an enormous amount as well. So there are ways that you can be measuring this at the moment and investing in like econometrics and media mix modelling long term as well. This is a really whistle-stop tour, by the way, so that's what you're getting on the first one. But if you do want to know more about media mix modelling, econometrics, those sorts of things, please do chat to me and I'd be happy to talk more about it. The second point is authenticity. So what does authenticity actually mean? So there was a YouGov survey of under 25s that asked young people when they're engaging with a brand, what resonates with them most? And they said, 70% of them, said authenticity. Authenticity was described as individuality, showcasing diversity as well, and a feeling of actually being genuine. And when I was thinking about this talk, I really, sorry to come back to it, related it back to like being brat, because the whole concept of some of these cultural phenomenons at the moment come from being able to sort of unapologetically be yourself and being genuine. So it kind of makes sense to me why that's becoming such a big thing at the moment. But related to that survey, a follow-up asked young consumers how they felt about personalization and feeling like content that they're seeing online is being personalized to them. And actually, the majority of respondents said that they found that personalized content was helpful rather than scary. And I think, in my eyes, that's a bit of a step change in what we're seeing at the moment as well, because I think historically, personalization, particularly when you think about, in paid search, if you're pulling in dynamic copy to show where someone's located, like people have found that really creepy. And when we think about a generation of people that has grown up around the internet and are a lot more savvy to marketing tactics, actually, it makes sense that they're maybe less skeptical of this. So I've put up here some examples of ways that you can begin testing personalization. And I think now is the right time to do this as well, as we are in the lead up to Black Friday. So like I mentioned, dynamic copy insertions, I won't go through every single one, but UGC creative. Can you put your hands up? I know this is an SEO conference, but if brands that you're working with, you know that they are using UGC creative. It's not many, and it genuinely is the future. I would honestly say that maybe 90% of the clients that we're working with that are testing UGC creative are seeing much more positive engagement off the back of it. And if you think about personalization and feeling that things are genuine, particularly for advertisers that are in the beauty sphere, if you're seeing someone who looks like you testing out a product in their bedroom versus an airbrush model in a studio, I know what's going to resonate with me more. So I would really recommend taking that away and looking at what you can do with creative there. Also, sequential creative. So if you're running any YouTube activity, actually showing people content that relates to how they've engaged with your ads previously. Catalog ads, again, I don't think people are that scared of seeing a product that they've clicked on following them around online. So there's loads of things that you can test at the moment. And then finally, sustainability versus price. So I spoke briefly earlier about the general conception that the younger generation coming through are one of the most socially conscious generations of the modern era. I do absolutely believe this is true, and there's lots of statistics online that will show you that. But I will leave this up for a second for you to have a read of what's on this slide. So this is a Mintel survey that asks young people what their priority is over the course of the next 2 months. 51% of these respondents said that managing their finances is their biggest priority. 20% said that being sustainable is. This isn't to say that sustainability isn't a focus, but I think it's easy to forget that young people in society today are amongst the most impacted by the cost of living crisis, by the fallout from COVID, that it's very understandable that price is a major factor to them. So it's potentially incorrect to suggest that sustainability should be the focus when we're trying to attract young consumers. It should potentially be secondary messaging. The first question I would ask is, does your brand or brands that you're working with have a sustainability initiative? It should, just for the good of the planet, it definitely should. But how are you messaging people with sustainability initiatives? So we tested a sustainability-focused message on PPC activity and on paid social activity for a higher price point client earlier this year. This drove a 34% has gone really weird, 34% uplift in click-through rate, but actually resulted in no impact on conversions. So I think this is a really powerful statistic because it shows that definitely this stuff is resonating with people. But if you don't have the pricing strategy that reflects young consumers' needs, then you're not going to see the results off the back of it. The ideal situation is having a compelling price offering and an actual genuine focus on sustainability when we're talking about being genuine, resonating with younger users. That makes a Gen Z's perfect brand. There are plenty of opportunities, I think, to test where bringing in sustainability is the right thing for younger users. So exactly as we've done on one of our clients, testing sustainability versus price messaging on search formats, on paid social formats. A really interesting one that we're beginning to test is landing page journeys, though. So understanding when the right point to bring sustainability initiatives to users during the journey is. But also, if price isn't on your side, potentially you're a luxury client, but you've got an amazing sustainability initiative that you think really resonates with young users, actually, do you have a journey that you can take them on where you've got potentially lower entry price point products that if people are coming through sustainability focused activity, you can take them to those products that are maybe a bit more achievable or attainable for them. Testing out sustainability in email offers as well, and also understanding how sustainability fits in with your funnel-based creative. So that is the whistle-stop tour to the 3 things that you need to remember about trying to engage young consumers. There are 3 simple actions that I think you can take away from this. First one is to test a sustainability message. That's the easiest one. The kind of medium one is developing a personalization strategy. I would really recommend looking at this over the next 2 weeks so you can understand what you need to do in the lead up to Black Friday. Get a test running beforehand so you know what works and you're running what is right over Black Friday. And then finally, the really, really big one that's going to take 3 to 5 years is develop a long-term strategic channel plan that brings econometrics and media mix modeling into the fold. And that is everything. Thank you.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.